Good evening, all of you. Today, I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you have been following the sessions. And today we have the punctuation exercise. We'll be doing a lot of punctuation exercise to make sure that you are able to score again 400 on the SAT reading part, or if you are taking the ACT, you'll be scoring the best in your English part. Okay, so today we have the punctuation exercises. We'll learn how to use the punctuations and what are the basic punctuations that you have to give preference to. I am Deepa and I'll be taking you through this session, and let's see how you are able to do it, and if at all you have any I hope you all your doubts or any minute things that you might have missed will be settled here. Okay, so let's go forward with the session, and we'll start with punctuation. Punctuation is a very important part of an writing exercise, and punctuation actually talks about how how professional or how conventional you are, and it actually, you don't have to make short sentences. You can just play with the punctuations, and you can just do whatever you like to. So what it is let's see, and why should we use punctuations and why should we not? Punctuation gives a beauty to the language and to the expression. Instead of using a full stop everywhere, if we can use semicolon or a colon, it gives more drama. Like where dash always talks about drama and stuff like that. So let's see what are the punctuations that we have. We will divide the punctuations is the use of basic of conventional characters, comma, semicolons, to improve clarity. In general, punctuation aids comprehension by showing the reader which words are grouped and where to pause. Now, whenever we talk about a pause, the first thing that comes to the mind is a comma and a full stop. Now, when you talk about a comma, it is a smaller pause, and when you talk about a full stop, it's a bit longer than a comma. So, for example, if I have to say Robin and Alex, instead of that, if I have to say Sam, Robin, and Alex. So whenever we have a comma, we just pause half a second and then we resume. But whenever we have a full stop, we have to resume for 2 seconds. Now, whenever we have a semicolon, we have to pause for 1.5 seconds. So it is not a complete pause, and neither it is an and halfway pause. So that's how it is. So we have to understand. So basically, punctuation improves the clarity, and in general, punctuation aids comprehension by showing the reader where to pause and where not to pause, and how to articulate the whole thing. When you're reading something, whenever you have a comma or a full stop or a semicolon, it gives the reader the base to pause and to articulate the speech better. Okay, so let us check the main punctuation marks. Before this, I would like to talk about the three main basic punctuation marks that everybody should know. Three groups rather. If you are a conventional, if you really want to ace it, I would like to tell you that there are three things that you should know. There is something called the internal punctuation, there's something called the external punctuation, and something called the word punctuation. There are three. And when we talk about the external punctuation, we talk about the full stop, the question mark, and the exclamation mark. Why? Because they're always put at the end of the sentence. You always, as you all know, we have 4 different types of sentences, and in each type of sentence we have a different way of ending the sentence. For example, if it is a statement, or if it is a imperative sentence, or an assertive sentence, or a declarative sentence, or an imperative sentence, a request, order, we always end it with a full stop. That is an external punctuation that we use. Now, if it is a question, if it's an interrogation, if it's you're going to end it in a question, so then we will be using a question mark. And at the same time, if you are ending it in an exclamation, then you will have an exclamation mark. So these are the three types of external question, marks that you would be using: a full stop, a question mark, and an exclamation. They are the basic. Now the second thing comes is basically the internal punctuation. Every punctuation has a different game to play, has a different role to play. So understand the external punctuation is basically for ending the sentence or question or an exclamation. When you're talking about the internal punctuation, we are going to talk about things that are going to come inside within the sentence. When we talk about punctuation within the sentence, we are talking about a comma, we are talking about a colon, we are talking about the semicolon, we are talking about the dash, we are talking about the apostrophes, we are talking about that's it. Ellipses. We end the sentences with 3 dots. So they are basically the internal punctuation. And when we are talking about a word punctuation, we are basically talking about the hyphens or a single apostrophe that we use with sentence to show possession, or when we are talking about a hyphen between a sentence to make it a compound word. Now, when I have a word called teapot, now tea and pot, they're 2 nouns, and I want to join them together into a single word. So what I do is I put a hyphen in the middle, a small dash. That looks like a dash, but it is basically a hyphen. They are basically the word punctuation, and an apostrophe in a sentence shows position, so that is also a word punctuation. So these are basically the punctuations that we are going to talk about. But now let us talk about out of all this, let's talk about the main punctuation marks that are necessary for your exam. Okay, so these are apostrophe, a single apostrophe or a double apostrophe. There's no difference between a single apostrophe and a double apostrophe apart from the usage in the British format and the American format. They are the same. They are basically used to highlight something, quote something, or they are also called the speech marks. So whenever you have someone, you want to quote someone's speech or you want to quote someone's quotation, you put those apostrophe marks and you use them. You can also use an apostrophe, a single apostrophe, for contractions like it's or don't or doesn't. This also works there. This talks about possession. The next thing that comes is parenthesis. Parentheses are the round brackets that you have. It is basically used to give extra information about anything. So they are basically parentheses. The next one are the square parentheses. Square parentheses are basically given to talk about the page numbers, or we are talking about a specific information about a sentence. The next things that we come as colons. Colons are basically used to introduce something. Now, to, like, for example, please correct the following, and you put a colon, so that next comes the questions. So this is more a formal way of introducing something. The next thing that comes is a commas. Comma is basically the most used, and at the same time a bit tricky too, because we need to understand that comma is basically used for a different, a number of various things, and you have to basically gain expertise in using some of the basic things like colon or comma. They have the range is very large. There's very, very wide. So we need to understand where to put a comma and where not to put a comma. So you have to learn about that. Okay, I'll take you through we have dashes. Now the usage of colon and dash is quite similar, but whenever you have a drama, whenever you have like tan 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 tan, whenever you want to introduce something in that kind of a thing, then you should be putting a dash. It is more informal in usage. It is more dramatic, whereas colon is more formal and more sophisticated. So there's not much difference between a colon and a comma. If you have both the options in one question, it's better that you avoid it. So that's about the dash. Let's go to the next one. Ellipses. Ellipses are basically those three dots that you will have where you will end a sentence. I wanted to come. It is left to your imagination that what I want to tell you. So that is about ellipses. The usage of ellipses can be very beautiful provided you use it appropriately. And let's start with the next one. The exclamation mark. Yes, whenever you have an exclamatory sentence, whenever you want to show a sudden surprise, a strong emotion, you should put an exclamation mark so that to show that you're surprised. We don't get a surprise after half an hour of something happens to us. So we need to understand that we have to use an exclamation mark, like when we meet a friend after 6 months or in a mall, we didn't expect to see her or him, and we say, hi. We don't say hi. So whenever you want to say hi, use this exclamation mark. When you don't want to say that and you want to say full stop. You're not surprised. You don't want to show a strong emotion. So therefore, we don't require an exclamation mark. So let's go forward, and we have a hyphen, and hyphen is basically word punctuations where we talk about hard work or teapot or Y junction or a U-turn. We put a hyphen and then we use that word. That combines the word and it makes it one, so understand that. The next one is a period or the full stops. They basically are a dot. You end of conversation, end of anything, put a full stop. End of a statement, full stop. Question marks. These are basically again the sentence punctuation, the end punctuations. Quotation marks. These are the double quotation marks that we use. Quotation marks are used in direct sentences when you want to showcase what exactly the speaker said, then you use a quotation mark. You also use quotation marks to quote someone's words who is not who is not there anymore, or a great person. You use the quotation marks there too. So that's the last but not the least is a semicolon. Semicolon is basically the most complicated of the lot. If comma is tricky, or comma's range is large, usage of comma is large. So semicolon actually does suffices two options, two dimensions. One is that it is end of one action, but the thought is still there, so you continue it using a comma. The usage of semicolon is, you have to expertise the usage of semicolon because it really requires some effort, and I'll take you through, so don't worry about it. And semicolons actually can make your expression look beautiful and more, in depth, and it could be more, what should I say? It makes your expression more valuable. That could be the best word that I could use. Okay, so let's start with apostrophes. Apostrophes are basically words that talk about contractions. Let's see what are they. Apostrophes are used. See, now you see here that I have used a semicolon here to introduce something. So apostrophes are used, semicolon. I did not use a dash because I'm not going to do some drama here, but I'm actually going to show something. I'm going to introduce something to show possession. So whenever I'm using an apostrophe, I'm basically talking about one dog, sternal, two dogs, kennel. We have done possessive, along with noun agreement. We have done this possession. So I think that you will be able to understand what I'm talking about. Apostrophes really help you, in various things. They also help you to in time expressions. And let's see, a day's holidays, a 2 weeks pay. Again, we talk about an expression, a time expression to show possession. And let's see the third one in contractions. Let's see what are the contractions I'm talking about. I have been talking about. It is like can't, don't, isn't, it is. So in these ways, contractions really help again to show more conventional way of writing or putting down something. Okay, so apostrophes are not used to show plurals. 3 dogs, 2 patios, no. Randomly before letters, no, we don't use that. We don't use with verbs. We don't use that. Okay, so please make a note of these words. Make a note of these things. You have 5 things to note. The first thing is that it shows possession. The second thing is it shows the time expression. It can also be used to in contractions, and then it is not used to show plurals or with verbs. Clear? Let's go forward with colon. What's a colon? Colon is basically an internal punctuation, and it is more formal, and it is used to introduce a sentence, to extend a sentence, to expand on something. For example, previously mentioned in the sentence, I need just one personal trait, loyalty. So basically, to extend a sentence and to basically mention something that has been already mentioned. After an introduction, I have seen the following: trust, rust, slime, and a rat. So this is also a formal way of introducing something that we are going to use. The next one is references, time, and titles. We definitely use the timing. See, this is in references. At time, 9 o'clock. So I can use a semicolon, and I can use that. With quotations, yes, the usage of colons or a comma is common. The usage of comma is more common than a colon, but a colon can also be used, is what I would like to suggest. Okay, so know the different usages, and then probably you can use whatever fits you, right? Next is the commas. Yes, the range, the usage of comma is vast, and a number of cases, a number of ways we can use comma. So let's see, what are they? A comma is used after setting the scene at the start of a sentence. Let's start how. Now she's wiser. She understands. Now, yesterday also we were doing this simple, complex, and compound sentences usage of conjunctions. In that also we learned that in a complex sentence we use a comma after introducing something, a dependent sentence, and in compound sentence we use a comma before the fanboys, between to join 2 independent sentences. So in the same way, we also use a comma to start off a sentence. See, now she's wiser. She understands. Okay, so this is how you can use a comma after transition phrases like however, consequently, or as a result. Now, they are basically adverbial phrases, and they are sometimes, whenever you use them in the beginning of a sentence, you definitely put a comma there and you start. However, I now agree with you. So this is how you are going to use a comma after this transition phrase. Whenever we are doing this writing skills, transition phrase plays a vital role in in making the sentence stand on its own, and it is really going to help you. But if you're using this at the end of the sentence, we don't put this comma. Only when we are using this at the beginning of a sentence, we put a comma. Now, the usage of comma is wide. We also use a comma before titles, after introducing a verb, a person, or after in describing asides, we also use a comma in compound and complex sentences. We also use a comma when we have to, talk about more people. So let's check what they are and let's go forward. Hyphens are basically, they are basically joiners, and they are used to join a word in a compound adjective. 7-foot table, silver service banquet. To join words in compound nouns like paperclip, cooking oil. Their main purpose is to show that the joined words are a single entity now, a single adjective or a single noun, and they are also used to avoid ambiguity. A hyphen makes it clear that a paperclip is a clip for paper, not a clip made of paper. Okay, so if you say paperclip, so probably we might understand it as that the clip is made up of paper. But when you put a hyphen there, it talks that we are talking about a paper clip, which will be used to clip papers together. So that makes it cooking oil. So when we are using that, we are not talking basically about something, but we're talking about an oil that is can be used for cooking. So let's go forward with parentheses. Parentheses are widely used, basically the round brackets whenever we want to describe something, whenever we want to give more explanation or information about something, we use these round brackets. And now basically they are like to insert extra information after an afterthought, clarification, or expansion of a recently mentioned idea. For example, see this that I have used in the sentence. Set in the 17th century, The Three Musketeers, Les Trois Mousquetaires in French, is a novel by Alexandre Dumas. Now, when we want to talk about what it is what is the name of the Three Musketeers in French, we have put that brackets in quotation marks to give that information. That is basically to give extra information. To present a plural option with a single one. So this is one way of using it. Whenever you're not sure whether you're talking about a single person or a plural person, and when you have different people with the different this thing, so you put yes in a brackets, ensuring that you're basically talking about if it is if it relates to you or not. Okay, now you have a couple of guests, and each guest has might have had one guest with them or a couple of guests. So it says your guest must leave before midnight. So when I'm addressing all the 4 or 5 people, some people might have just single guest, whereas some people might have double or triple, 3 or 4 people with them. So your guest. So when I'm addressing you, all the 4 or 5, so whoever is with you, please ask them to leave before midnight. So that is how it is going to help you. Now we have the square brackets. Square brackets are mostly used to make quoted text clearer by expanding on or replacing part of the quote. So this is something like this. If you don't like them, what? My principles. You don't have to use them in brackets, because brackets are basically describes it. Now here we are making a point. We already know what it is. We already know if you don't like them. So you already know that, you might not like some of my principles. Well, I have others. So you actually emphasize that if you don't like this. To make it clear that terms like sink and ellipsis are insertions by a current author, not the original. So this is one way of using it. In your statement, you wrote, I appraised him of the situation at about 4 o'clock. So this is basically where you'll be using a. But comparatively, the usage of square brackets is lesser than the round brackets, so don't worry about it. And the period is basically you put a full stop. It's also called full stop. It is also called a period. In UK, it's called full stop. So at the end of a declarative sentence, yes, I eat pies and a full stop. At the end of an imperative sentence, which is not forcible enough for an exclamation mark, please use the bathrooms upstairs. In an abbreviation, including initialisms and contractions like this, BBC, it's basically, they are contractions, abbreviations basically. So to show that they are basically abbreviations, you put B, B, C, and a full stop between each letter. At the same time, in contractions like where professor, we don't use the complete word professor. Instead of that, we just use 4 letters and then put a full stop. That means that it's the abbreviation of something else. So that point of time also we put a full stop. I'm sorry, I just had some. Yeah, let's go with semicolons, and semicolons are basically the most trickiest part because the usage is it has multiple usages, and it makes it more, the expression is more beautiful and more conventional when we use a semicolon. We can reduce the usage of redundant words. We can reduce the usage of redundant words, and we can, let's see how it is. The semicolons are used in lists when the list items contain commas. Let's check them. Peter, the officer in charge, colon the chef, colon the chef, and Heidi, the my dog. Now I'm talking about 3 different people. Now I cannot use a comma and suffice because I'm talking about Peter, the officer in charge, and a colon. That means his introduction is over. I'm talking about Colin, the chef, but his introduction is over. And Heidi, my dog, and that information is also over. So I have to basically use a semicolon to basically, divide them. I cannot suffice with a comma. To create smoother transition between sentences, particularly when the second starts with a phrase like however or as a result. Now I'm talking about something. I have the subject, verb, and agreement done. So I have subject, verb, and object done. And then I would like to talk something either about the subject or about the object, where it becomes into a pronoun. I can use a semicolon and I can use it, and I can also use this contrast transition words where however or consequently. I can use a semicolon and then I can start that and put a comma and we can start. So it looks beautiful. So let's see how it is. How it is. It was freezing. Semicolon. It was freezing. So at the end of that action, it was freezing, or end of that thought. But we still have something else to add. So however, we still enjoyed it. See now here, in the beginning of the sentence, it was freezing. So we are talking about the weather, right? In the second part of the sentence, we put a semicolon. So it was freezing was a statement that we try to tell. And then we put a semicolon where it is to understand the weather was freezing. We are done with it. So we put a full stop and a comma below that says there's still something more to add. What is it? However, reverse, negative, comma, we still enjoyed it. Now here you see that the subject here became the object. Check this out. This is the most important part that I was trying to tell you is when you have a subject and an object, and in the next sentence, the object take predominance, or we have to change the subject into a different pronoun, we use a semicolon. And it's absolutely a beautiful way of using it. Semicolons are not used in introductions. I would blame one thing for my divorce. Weird. You have to put a colon there, not a semicolon. The usage of semicolon is amazing, provided you understand. For example, I would like to say, I bought pasta for Sam, pencils for Robin, and erasers for Alex. Now, I'm basically talking about what I bought for each one of you. Here, I cannot put a comma. If I want to say I bought pasta, pencils, and erasers, then I can put a comma and suffice. But here I'm trying to tell that I bought pasta for someone, I bought erasers for someone, and I bought pencils for someone. In that point of time, I have to use a semicolon, and the usage of comma would be would make the sentence, it will not give the in-depth meaning to the sentence. Like, you know that there's a punctuation error. But let's see, in this thing also, the first example also, I could have said Peter, the officer in charge, colon, the chef. But if I put a comma, it is not going to give that weightage, or it is not going to give that value to the sentence. Okay, so let's go forward with quotation marks. Quotation marks are basically speech marks, or they're also used as to show the exact words written or spoken by someone. Like this, Regan said, you can tell a lot about a fellow's character by his way of eating jelly beans. For the names of things like books, ships, and plays, I was certain the spruce goose was too heavy to fly now. This quotation marks can be used both in singular ways and in two also. They exactly mean the same. It is just the usage that is in UK and US, but otherwise it's the same thing. And they're basically used to introduce something, not introduce something in the middle of a sentence. Okay, colon is basically used to introduce something in steps, but whereas quotation marks are like, I read the book, The Three Musketeers. So I read the book Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. When you want to say, so I would highlight Three Musketeers, and that's when you're going to use the quotation marks too. Okay, so let's go forward. The annual cheese rolling at Coppers Hill is a festival in Gloucestershire, England, where contestants race after a wheel of cheese to find out who can catch it. Now, these are some, questions that we will be having. We'll have these questions with us, and we are going to use them to make sure that to understand that whatever we have learned till now is completely, we can use the concepts, and we can make sure that we are able to understand it better, and we are able to use it better, and we try to use the right one. So let's go with the first question. The annual cheese rolling at Coppers Hill. Now this is a question, and let's find the options. I have 4 things, but it is an end of a sentence. So immediately, and I don't see a WH word in the beginning of a sentence, and there are no full stops in the middle of the sentence. So I need not actually look for anything else, but I can just go with the full stop. But still, we will. That's for on the larger way. But then let's check the options anyway. Okay, so the annual cheese rolling at Coppers Hill is a festival in Gloucester, England, where contestants race after a wheel of cheese to find out who can catch it. Now, we have a who here, but that is not a question mark, a question who, but it is basically a relative pronoun that has been used as a conjunction. So therefore, we'll go with the full stop period, and we'll not change anything. So for the first question, 1 is the right answer. There's no question there, so we cannot put a question mark. There's no semicolon because we don't have anything else following, so we cannot use a semicolon. And ellipsis, the sentence is complete, so there's no usage that we will use a semicolon. Let's go to the next question. Imhotep, historically recognized as the first known doctor, lived in Egypt from 2667 to 2648 BCE and left a legacy of medical writings that relied on his knowledge of anatomy and disease. We have an exclamation mark here, but why do you need an exclamation mark here? Is there some sudden surprise here, or is there some strong emotion that has to be displayed here? Because we are very clear that from the beginning, we have been talking about Imhotep, and we don't have to get exclaimed about anything in this sentence. So therefore, we don't require an exclamation mark, and just a normal full stop would have sufficed. always understand that what you would want to put, and then look at the options and try to find that what you have already thought, whatever is in your mind, try to find that in the options. If you don't find that, then see what is the nearest one that matches your frequency or what matches your intuition. Okay, so we don't require a semicolon, we just need a full stop here. So let's see. Yes, we have the full stop, and we'll go with second question, C. Let's go to the third question. An ancient stone structure called the Wheel of James a series of concentric circles in the Golan Heights region of the Middle East has archaeologists stumped to its meaning and how it was created. The wheel is 5,000 years old. We don't find why should we have a question mark there, even if we had this how it is not basically it was not talking about a question, but it is basically talking about a conjunction that is used as a conjunction, a relative pronoun. So therefore a question mark need not be used, so therefore we can just use a full stop and we can suffice it. And let's check if we have that option, or we'll find something else. So yes. Question number 3, the third option goes well, and we'll stick with the third option. Let's go to the fourth question. Before starting the marathon, Joel asked Sabrina if she had a spare water bottle. He had left his at home. Putting a full stop does not, is good. But can we have a better option? Let's have a look. Now here, when we are putting a full stop all the time, and again we have to talk about start a sentence, it is better that we put a comma and we can start the sentence, because there's nothing that it is really it needs a full stop there. Full stop is a bigger pause, and sometimes we don't need a bigger pause even if we have that option. So we can use something else, and let's see what we can use here. Before starting the marathon, Joel asked Sabrina if she had a spare water bottle. He had left his at home. Here, we should not put a full stop. The reason being, because at the end of the sentence, I mean the last part of the last sentence, he has left his at home, is dependent on the first part of the sentence. So therefore, putting a full stop there does not make sense, right? So we'll use a comma, and we will use this because the last part of the sentence is dependent on the before sentence. Before starting the marathon, Joel asked Sabrina if she had a spare water bottle. He had left his at home. So comma, he has left his at home. So we'll go with option C. We'll go with the second option. Let's go with this question. The tourist was amazed by the panoramic view from the Golden Gate Bridge on her blog. She later declared with perfect grammar that it was stunning. So what do you think should be the answer? When we are using the indirect sentence, she later declared that. Do you think we require those quotation marks? I don't think so. What we can do is we can take this sentence from that, because whenever you're using a quotation marks, we should always understand that basically we are talking about something that is, if it is an indirect sentence, like she told me that it was stunning, in that case I cannot either use a semicolon or the quotation marks. Okay, so I will start the sentence from that. Clear? And then I'm going to use that, and let me continue with the same option. First thing that we have to understand is we are talking about the Golden Gate Bridge. It is singular in format. So therefore, it is the best usage because we're talking about a singular thing, right? We don't have an option here that says that. We cannot use the second option because it says they were amazing. We are talking about a panoramic view that is again in singular format. So we cannot use they. It has to be it. Therefore, there is no option here which says it was stunning because that is not needed there. There is a problem in the question. We cannot use that there, and then but we can use it was stunning. We can definitely show the quotation marks and we can say that because we have already have this word declared here. Clear? So therefore no option actually matches here. The best thing that we could do is we can just remove that here and still go with the sentence. Anish and Carrie had both entered their pumpkins into the Jane Pumpkin Contest and way off to find out who was more successful this year. The winner would take home a cash prize and free tickets to next year's state fair. I have a comma there. Let's see the options. It's already a longer sentence, so I don't have to use something else. I can just put a full stop and I can start the new sentence. Right? So I'll go with option B. Sixth option B. Let's go to the next question. I hope it is clear. Anish and Carrie had both entered their pumpkins into the giant pumpkin contest and way off to find out who was more successful this year. And that's the end of the sentence. We put a full stop there. And then we start with the winner. So we'll go with B. Let's go to the next question. Eat your Brussels sprouts or else I will ground you. My mother hollered at me from across the hallway. Here, there is no reason that we are putting a question mark there. Let's see the options. Eat your Brussels sprouts or else I will ground you. My mother hollered. So we don't need a question mark there. So we'll go with an exclamation mark because that is the best option that I find here. I will not go to 3, but rather I'll go for 2. The second option. Let's go to the next question. In a perfect world, wouldn't it be nice if everyone who wanted a pet and had the ability to take care of it could do so without worrying about weight limits or apartment building restrictions? Let's go with the options. Here, they have started a bracket in the earlier sentence without from without. So therefore, ending the bracket and putting a full stop is the best option. Therefore, we don't have to change we don't have to consider any other option at all, because it is absolutely a full stop that we need there. We don't need an exclamation mark. We cannot have a comma because we don't have anything else there. And we cannot go with a question mark because there is no question at all. Okay, so we'll continue with no change. In this question also, we'll continue with the second option. Clear? I hope you're able to understand why I'm using a particular, exclamation, punctuation and not the other. As we have already discussed at length about what it means and how it is going to do, what is its usage. So I think using them here makes sense, and I hope you're able to understand why I'm using a particular punctuation and not the others. Yes? We have a next one question now. Just read the question once. Olivia could not tell, was Friday's mystery special at the cafeteria a freshly made casserole or just a combination of leftovers from the week's previous meals? Here, let's look at the options. We have an exclamation mark here in the second option, keeping no change. I find the sentence absolutely fine. But let's see. Look at the other options also. We cannot have an exclamation mark because she was still thinking and she was not able to say. So definitely she was not, she did not have a surprise. We cannot have an ellipsis because it's very clear that they're still wondering whether what is it. And we definitely cannot have a question mark because there's no question there. So we'll remain with no change. That sounds better. Let's go to the next question. Did you know that Marie Curie not only was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize, but it was also the only person to win Nobel Prizes in multiple science fields? Why do you require a question mark there? You don't require a question mark there. So therefore, we will suffice with a full stop. Let's check the options. No change, fields, exclamation mark, and fields ellipsis. I think the best one is B, because there's no need for an exclamation, there's no need for a question mark, there's no need for an ellipsis, just a full stop. It's a statement. Did you know that Marie Curie, I'm sorry, we will not go with B, we'll go with A, because the question starts with, the sentence starts with a question. Did you know that Marie Curie not only was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize, but it also the only person to win Nobel Prizes in multiple science fields. So therefore, we'll go with no change because it's a question and it starts with a question actually did. Question word did. So we'll go with A, question mark. Let's go to the next question. A cooperative board game, Pandemic asked players to work in teams to defeat threats. Players are assigned specific roles within the game, such as medic or scientist. Please choose from one of the following options. Now here, we have a question mark there, a cooperative board game. Pandemic asks player to work in teams or defeat threats. Now here, there is no question mark like in the previous sentence we had a question word. Here it does not have and it does not pose a question. So therefore, there is no need for a question mark. Let's check out the other options. We'll go with 3. That is the best option. We'll go with the next question. Goodbye, she yelled, her voice growing louder over the roar of the train's engine. I will miss you. Now here, with I will miss you, you cannot have a question mark. Rather, an exclamation mark or a full stop will suffice. Let's check which options do we have. Yes. An exclamation mark is more important because she wants to show a sudden emotion, and we'll go with C, 12C. We have both the options here, full stop and an exclamation mark. But when you want to say something and you want to show a sudden emotion, goodbye was also an emotion that she yelled at. And then she will say, I will miss you. So with an exclamation mark, because she wants to, here there is no surprise. Here there's just a sudden, strong emotion that one would want to describe. Not describe, to portray or to demonstrate or to express. Okay, so we'll go with question number 12 with C. Let's go with the next question. She was trying to yell something after us, but the door closed, cutting off her speech. Make sure that you don't. Now here, cutting off her speech, so therefore she might have said something more. So we cannot put a full stop there, rather an ellipsis would be better. Let's check the options. Here you have to check the question once again. She was trying to yell something after us, but the door closed, cutting off her speech. Therefore, I am introducing what she said. But at the same time, I am going to say, make sure that you don't, and you can't hear it because the speech was cut. So therefore, because you did not listen, we'll put an ellipsis. The second option is the best option. Let's go to the next question. If you are going to eat in front of the fridge, at least close the door. Now here, it's an if conditional. And you don't require a comma there, rather a full stop is better. Let's check the options. 14th question, D sounds the best because you have an if conditional and it's a statement, and if you are going to eat in front of the fridge, at least close the door. Complete the sentence. The sentence is complete with a full stop. Let's go to the next question. Whether you go, wherever you go, make sure that you are at least prepared for the weather. There is no question here. So therefore, we don't require a question mark. Let's check what are the other options. We have 4 options here. Definitely no change is not the right option because we don't require a question mark there. We don't require an colon because we're not introducing anything. We don't require ellipsis because we are not going to, there's nothing left to our imagination. There's just a statement which says wherever you go, make sure that you are at least prepared for the weather. And a full stop is more than enough for the sentence. So we'll go with full stop, the 4th option. Let's go to the next question. Whether or not you choose to move away from home for college is ultimately up to you. There is no question here again. So a full stop is more than enough. Again, whether or not you choose to move away from home for college is ultimately up to you. Now here, there should not be a question mark because there's no question word here. Whether is not a question word. You can go with a full stop. There's no semicolon needed because we are not going to talk about anything else. We are not talking about anything else. So therefore a semicolon is also not needed. So therefore we'll go with C as the right option. Let's go to the next question. Barrier islands are long, narrow, coastal and dune formations. They lie parallel to mainland coastlines and offer protection from storms and erosion. Now, why do you need an exclamation mark there? Just a full stop will do, right? Barrier islands occur in chains. They influence local terrain by creating lagoons, estuaries and marshes. Let's look at the options. We'll go with a simple full stop. The 4th option is the right option. Let's go to the last question of the day. The Ganges River holds an important place in Indian life and mythology. Many locals and visitors are concerned with that pollution and overcrowding now threaten the river. Now, why do you require an exclamation mark there? Is there anything in this sentence that will arouse a sudden surprise or a strong emotion? I don't think so. Therefore, let's look at the options. We'll go with option B because it is a statement and the statement always ends with a period. Now, that's for today. I hope you understood the class. I hope you understood the concepts better and you also understood how to use the questions, how to use the options and how to segregate and eliminate your options to get the right answer. It is always better to stop. Don't see the options first. Rather, first see where the question is underlined and try to put your own sense there, like put your own answer there first and then look for the answers in the options that closely relate to that. Then you will always tap on the right answer. So please follow this rule and you will definitely ace the test again. The main thing about this US boot camp is basically to get a score of 400 on 400 on your SAT. So all the very best. I hope this session was informative and useful. Thank you so much.